Good evening, everyone. Ellen Sutterth of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring page turners your way. We have a guest tonight, author Jim McGrath, and he is our guest today. We're going to talk about his book, The Boys of Ewald Park. Come on in, Jim McGrath. And I hope I said your name right. I almost shot it all up. McGrath, right?
Yes, correct.
I don't know why I want to do that Groth.
You know,
McGrath.
many people do it. It's been a defining factor in my life, having my name misspelled and mispronounced. I'm so used to it.
You're used to it. Well, I come to know you by you reaching out from a wonderful bookstore in our area, Paperback Inc. And I am happy to have you. And you will be at our this weekend doing book signing at Buffet City. I am excited about your book that you have here. I am so excited. The book, again, the title, The Boys of
You
Ewald Park.
wall. Yes.
And so I thank you guys for that. Tell us about yourself, Jim, and also why you penned this book.
Um, I had started writing the book probably 10 years ago. Uh, I grew up in Northern Virginia, specifically Alexandria. Um, in the early, mid, late 1970s. Those were really my formative years. So even as a kid, I knew the way we grew up, the people we knew, the people we hung around with, the cast of characters that made up our area. I knew it wasn't like people I was growing up with or people I knew um, from even different parts of Northern Virginia, never mind other parts of the country. Uh, even other parts of Alexandria. We went to a Catholic school in Old Town Alexandria. And if I mention to somebody where I'm from, they go, "Oh, yeah, well, you must be from Old Town." It's like Old Town and the West End are almost like two separate cities. They're entirely, it's entirely different. Uh, our area is just so diverse. Um, I realized that, and somewhere, 10 years ago, I just started writing it out. Um, at about that time, I was getting into writing. I've been a local sports writer, freelance, for about the last 15, 16 years with various publications, and really for the last 15 with the Daily Press and Virginian Pilot. Um, so writing was already in my skill set, I hope. But I sat down, started jotting this, and I got to a point, I stopped. I was just like, I don't know if people are really interested in this. What I think is interesting may not be terribly enthusiastic to a lot of other people.
But I thought it was very interesting because when I saw your book and I asked you, why aren't you talking about this story? So the onset of your story here, when I read it, it talks about what happened to you while you were like driving, and it kicked you back until your childhood. Can you tell us about, if that's in your wheelhead, what happened to you, that drive that you went on that kind of brought you back to the 1970s when you were growing up, and you said you had your friends, Jeff and with those two guys, Jeff, and I'm trying to think of the other guy name because I really took a glimpse of your book,
Uh,
and it really made me think. And you said you were raised in diverse culture, and so me, I was raised up in a black area, mostly predominantly black. But my children, as I got married, were military, so we come from a very diverse neighborhood. To now that we're older, the children are older, and they see that you can, coming from where I was. I'm from the projects, inner city. Some of these people may call it, of Chicago, and so you because of economic, and you'll talk about that in your book, situations that you live in your area and you're predominantly around black, maybe some white people, and you know the names they call them when they live in poor areas. So I want to know, like I say, within your wheelhouse, within you can say, take us to that drive and what the way it kicked you back into your childhood, growing up.
Well, yeah, start with a little introduction. I'm driving. Actually, I'm sitting here in my office in City Center. It was really just right outside of here, pulling onto Route 17, and I was making a left turn. Apparently, I wasn't going fast enough for the young lady next to me, and she drove by me and said, "The speed limit 45." Like, okay, Karen, thank you. Yeah. And I went and looked at my speedometer. I'm going 43. It's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. And something just jumped inside of me, and I just started calling her everything but the child of God. Uh, and it just suddenly made me go, wow, I'm a grown man now. I shouldn't be acting like I was when I was younger, especially when I was a kid. Um, and that was just kind of the starting point. What happened to me soon after that? I'd had a medical episode 8 years before. Um, a tumor in my liver, and they removed like the whole,
Wow.
about the size of a shot, but the whole thing got taken out. And I was fine. That was like the first scary, because I thought I had stage 4 cancer. Nobody was denying it. So
Mm-hmm.
so I already, even the doctor wrote, you dodged a bullet. It's there in the medical report. Dodged a bullet. Never seen that before. Um, so here we go. Years later, I'm having some stomach pain. I was just feeling fluish. Um, I was taking sick leave, and just one morning I woke up and just coughed up something hideous. I mean, I have a picture of it, but just because I was like, nobody's even going to believe this. But just for sake of decorum, I've never showed it to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like blackberry soda or something, and
Wow.
it was just like, that's not right. That's not even blood. I don't know what that is.
Mm.
I went to the doctor, and um, I mean, I got to the parking lot and got out of the car. Apparently, I walked to the office, and I don't remember too much. For about the next 10 days, I remember little bits and pieces, because what happened was I got to the doctor's office, lost some more fluids. I would say, threw up a few more times, some more of this, whatever it was. Just scared everybody to death. They called the ambulance and rushed me to emergency at Riverside Regional, and I think they ran. Oh, good! Put the tube down your throat. I don't know why they're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
escaping me now, because I haven't done all the time. But they couldn't even find where the source was coming from. But my stomach was just full of blood and everything else, and I fell into a coma.
Wow.
I think would be. I think they gave the first, would end up being 11 blood transfusions, and it was just. I mean, as you read through it, it gets really into detail of of my family coming down. My wife wasn't even home. She's teaching a juvenile. She worked for juvenile justice. She's teaching out at Bon Air. Not even aware of this. She probably didn't even know until late that night, after she's driven home from Richmond. Just noticing I was missing, but not knowing where, not answering my phone,
Wow.
anything,
That is scary.
having no
That
idea
is
where I was. Um,
so what you're talking about, I'm sorry, so what you're talking about is in the book. I haven't read the whole book.
I know it's like I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell
Yeah,
you.
don't give it away. So in some of that was things that happened to you, like we talk about the opening and how you were on the street. Did after that incident kind of spiral you into looking at your health, or okay.
I mean, well, health certainly. I mean, in the next 3 months that I was at the hospital in rehab, I mean, certainly, every little nugget of information about my health came to the surface, and um, but yeah, being in a coma for 10 days. Well, next thing I remember, I'm looking up at the ceiling from an intubator, and my wife's there, my parents are there, my aunt and uncle are there, and it's just like, what's going on? You know,
Mm.
I wanted to throw my hands up, but they were
Wow.
adhered to
So
the.
so not to sound heartless, I just wanted to know too that during that time of your health scare, was it during the time that you started writing this book, or is it after or before it kind of gave you life during this process of what was happening with your health?
Well, for some reason, I guess trying to keep myself occupied, trying to keep myself not thinking about certain aspects of what I was going through. Um, for some reason, names and events and people just started popping in my head. I guess I was just trying to divert my own attention, as opposed to things like trying to breathe. Not even realize I couldn't talk. It's just things that if I really had thought about them, really would have bothered me a lot and made recovery much harder, if not impossible. I may have never recovered at all, but I just really
Wow.
just I, it just I mean it was like the past saved my present. For some reason, just those
Wow.
thoughts
Wow.
really kept me going, and that's when I started at least contriving some more ideas in my head. But then the experience in the hospital. Anybody that's been in a hospital for a long stay, you pick up on some things. You meet some people. You find out who's who's competent at the hospital. You find out who any other job. I mean, somebody had
Wow.
somebody
Wow.
graduated to the bottom of the medical school class.
Wow. In your story though, and thank you so much. And I don't want to sound heartless because there's so much more and little time to talk about this within your book. You do bring up the conversation, and I'm glad of your survival, and I'm so glad that you were able to write this book during those times, because when you wrote this book, as a reader, they're gonna and as a reader being a black woman, they're gonna feel some of that thing. It's like we don't want to give it away, but at times it's just like that's why to tell a story without giving the story away is a bit of a challenge. But when you talked about these are one of my questions. When you talked about early on in the book, and you mentioned that there was a scene like Remember the Titans and back in that era, and you mentioned that there was a moment where I want to ask you, you as a white man, you mentioned racism when so many white people, I won't say all, but they don't see it at all. But you mentioned that in your book. And as a white male, I wanted to know, what is it that you've seen that you can say in your book, and plus being white, to mention, yes, there is some.
We were very. I mean, as kids, we were aware. It's that well, children are so pure. Children don't realize what's going on. They only learn it from their parents. I never learned anything. I learned racism was wrong. I mean, you know, we learned all the right things at home. I learned it out from walking around, from being in the neighborhood, from having
Mm,
early Duke projects right across Duke Street, a 2,200 unit, you know, area that, I mean, in today's lingo, they probably call it all Section 8. Uh,
right, right, right.
that's basically about what Shirley Duke was, 80, 90% Section 8. And Ewald Park was really the meeting point because that was right there on Duke Street. People from Shirley Duke crossed the street to go to the park. People from our neighborhood, which was right behind the park, it's like where everybody met. Yeah, that's where everybody was either going to get along or they weren't going to get along.
Mm-hmm,
We've
mm-hmm.
we've almost entirely from my recollection, we basically all got along um, very well, very well. But even being 8, 9 years old, we knew racism existed, and I will give you an example. We had Hank Aaron was our baseball hero. This is mentioned in the book. I mean, talk about going to Oriole games, but Hank Aaron, we thought he was outstanding. But we knew what was happening to him. We knew he was getting death threats. We knew, the KKK was saying we're going to hurt this man if he breaks that home run record. We had a parade for Hank Aaron. This is 1974. I'm like
Wow.
8.5 years old. The other Jimmy Hopewell is Fred and Jimmy are the brothers' names that lived on our street. My two running mates, so to say. We had a parade for Hank Aaron, and we talked about it, and it became an article in the Alexandria Gazette, which is also noted in there. But I mean, we talk about how wrong things are. It's like how many 8-year-olds are like that? You know,
Wow.
mind. Um, and that's the way we were. That's the way. We knew what was going on. It was
But you look like some may say, okay, maybe Jim, you're looking through the lens of a kaleidoscope.
I don't
You only see this color, that color, and they may say, well, maybe, but me as a person of color, I know that it's true. You know what I'm saying? And you remember the Titans you mentioned in your book, as I say again, I got a chance to meet him, the Remember the Titans guy, and it came to our school. And since you live in Newport News, Virginia, he was at Heritage High School.
right. That's probably the time. That's probably around the same time he went to CNU. I knew him as an assistant cross country coach in the early '90s because we ran.
Wow.
I was coaching at Bishop Ireton, and we ran the city meet every year. The 4 schools in Alexandria, and obviously T.C. Williams was the only public school, but the four of us we all ran. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know he was the old football coach. But I just remember this older black gentleman who just had there was just the way he talked to kids, and he was quite sarcastic, but he got his point across. It's like people pay attention to him, and it was later on that I came to realize, oh yeah, that was Coach Boone you're talking about. So yeah, I had a chance to to meet him at that event at CNU. The only thing he could remember was they pounded us at the city meet. He was like, "Oh yeah, we swept y'all that day." It was like, man, how do you remember
Wow.
that 15 years later? And just in the same way, in '74, Hank Aaron came on a promotional tour with Magnavox, and I was able to give him this article about what we did for him and get his autograph,
Wow.
get pictures with him. And so it's like, we the best part of this may be that we actually got to, tell the people that we're talking about, you know, of the experience.
Well, so can you tell us a little bit more about your community? And I'm going to reset real quick. And so we're talking to Jim McGrath, and we're talking about his book. Would you happen to have your book with you?
I might.
Yay! So that is a beautiful book, and it's The Boys of Ewald Park. So I see your book cover, and then you above the book cover, you have a person up there above that, and there you're around a tree. So I'm thinking about, to me, that makes me think of where people are, the root, the heritage, and different things like that. And could you bring it up a little bit more, where you have diverse people there? You have black people, you have different people, and just sitting around and just talking. So around that time, would you say you guys are probably about 8 years old, 10 years old, 9 years old, talking about things of the world? So you do talk about that. And what was your Jim, what was your experience, especially when you mentioned, and then again, we only giving glimpse of it. You guys gonna have to get, you mentioned how economic, I would say systemic economic things going on. You live in a certain area, and maybe a couple of blocks down, 5 blocks down or so, there's a doctor, a lawyer, and here you guys are over there living, below minimum wage or minimum wage. What was that like for you, and what was your view of our world in experiencing that?
um, I mean, again, we knew. I mean, I can remember we went going to scout camp, and I remember we picked up a young man. It's Shirley Duke, because he was going to come to camp with us. Apparently, he'd forgotten to tell his mom that he was going to camp that day. So, um, one of the other scouts went to go get him. Went in the apartment, um, and Timmy, he comes running out with probably a shirt, a pair of socks, not even another pair of shoes. And we thought that was funny as could be. Not even quite thinking maybe that's all he had. You
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
we would always comment, kids at the pool, and it is white kids and black kids. There, it
Mm-hmm.
was, it wasn't exclusive, poverty in our area. Uh,
Would you say that again? I like to hear that because some people, when we think of that, we think it's exclusively to a certain group. And you said it was exclusive.
it wasn't exclusive. No,
Wow.
there were poor white people in our neighborhood. I mean, we grew up middle class. I mean, Hopewell, their father, he was a sergeant major in the Marines. My dad worked for the government. He worked for the CIA for 42 years. Mom was a housewife. I mean, we were, had a government salary. It's like I mean, you can go look up and see what government workers make, but they're not making doctor, lawyer, engineer, tycoon money. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but then we knew there was a difference. But what I was saying, poverty was not exclusive.
I
Uh,
love that. Wow. Not too many people would say that like that. And that's why I thought that was just amazing just for you to say that. You talked about too, like the Old Town District. And when you see me looking up and down, I'm trying to see, I'm looking at YouTube from my phone. So you talked about Old Town District, where middle class neighborhoods, sort of what we're talking about now. I want to hear a little bit more about your town and also how you mentioned about the Old Town District and different things that were going on in there. You said it was, if I say it right, like Sears, even funded by Sears. Could you tell me about that? I want to make sure I have that
there's an
right.
area called Rosemont. It's if you're familiar with Alexandria, the tallest building in town is the Masonic Temple, the George Washington Masonic Temple, because it's on a hill and the building itself is about 450 feet high. So you can see that from 95. You can see it from Maryland, for God's sakes. Um, but right off of the side, there's a neighborhood called Rosemont, and it was basically constructed with houses that people ordered from Sears Roebuck and built themselves.
What?
Yes. And
Oh my goodness.
those houses are probably selling for well over $1 million now.
Wow.
You get a Sears kit back in 1910 or 20. Yeah, I, I can't I can't do the math that quickly, but take 10, however, couple $1,000 as opposed to what they're
Was it
worth.
like stock and bond? How do you, was it a share stock or how do you have, you didn't know the mechanics of that?
Nah, nah. I mean, there are probably history books in there. There's probably something that's been written about, the different neighborhoods. I mean, I know Wikipedia's Alexandria page really breaks down neighborhood by.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's Rosemont. That's not even quite. It's not quite Old Town. It's not even exactly the same zip code. Old
Mm-hmm.
Town. You're talking about the people who ran around with George Washington and such. Your 1700 people that did their drinking at Gadsby's Tavern, which is still open, by the way,
Mm.
built in like 1750.
Wow.
Those are exclusive homes. Um, but oddly enough, Alexandria is it's strange how parts of it are built because they're even getting back to Remember the Titans. There was this scene, Bertier gonna go meet Julius in the Berg. The Berg's in Old Town, and it still exists. I mean, I think they're closing it now. In fact, I was just there a couple weeks ago. I think the houses are still there. Nobody's living in them. I think whatever they're gonna do there, but supposedly this was lower income housing, and it's surrounded by
Mm.
$1 million townhouses all the way around. I,
Wow.
it's amazing. I mean, I was a distance runner. It's like you could you could go from a poor neighborhood to a rich neighborhood in 2 minutes, and you just kind of you went right through the socioeconomic system, uh,
Wow.
different classes on a 5 mile run.
So Jim, how did like the way you grew up and the things you've seen systemically and economically, the social scheme or landscape of life, what was your view of our world as you were going through these things? Because I see a little glimpse of you in the book, and I definitely want to finish that book. I get to see you navigating your readers through what it was like and how, in my view as a reader, just a little bit that I read, and I'm gonna get back to it. And for those you are looking on or in replay, this show is designed just a cliffhanger to give you guys a view of the book. It's not the full story, so I only got bits and pieces. So what was that like for you, knowing, and I read it and I see you were raised diverse, and the social views that you talk about. Then and this is just chapter one, and not even all of chapter one. And it's just so meaty, as I told you before when we had our talk before our show. Is what was that like for you? You know, the view of the world and what you know it in the lens of through the lens of diversity.
Lived in I've lived in a few different worlds. I mean, I'll talk about my father working for the agency and how we did everything with other families in the agency. It was almost, I, as I put it, it was almost like living in a mob family. You know, it's like we went on vacations together, we went to picnics together. Yeah, that's who we were. Aside from some of the neighbors and some of the people in the neighborhood. So there was that family. Had the people I went to school with. A lot of them were from Old Town, so it was like I mean, when we took the public, we took the Metro bus. The Metro bus would pick us up on the west end of town, transport us to Old Town. So we drove right across the city every day. Although there was one time we walked 4.5 miles.
Ooh.
Book, and I'll leave it at that. Saw a
What
whole.
was it? What was it like going to school though? What was it like for you going to school? Did you have
Uh,
to walk or
no, no, we I mean, because our school, St. Mary's, I mean, we didn't have a school bus of our own. So, yeah, we had a contract with the Metro bus. It actually, when I was a little kid, it was called A, B, and W. But they
mm,
would pick us up and run the route. And every year we had to get all these signatures because they kept threatening. It's like, we're not going to take the kids anymore. You're all going to have to find your own way to school. And yeah, it always take these forms home and get your parents to sign them, or else you're gonna have to walk to school or something.
what, so it's almost like the federal forms that they do today, and I didn't really know how important it was. Like my kids when they were growing up, then to our youngest, and then to our grandson. And when the youngest grandson, he's 14 now, 15 now, and the oldest is 23. But I didn't know how important these federal grants were. They were like, you better bring the form in, please bring it in, to casually saying it. So it kind of remind me of that type of thing that they were doing. So the world as you know it, as you've seen it, as you've seen it during the pandemic, what was that like for you through your lens?
I mean, my lens, I knew, I assumed that everybody had the worldview that I did. I didn't
Mm,
realize that things were different there, that there were problems in Alexandria. We we just assumed that every other, yeah, as kids we assumed that every other place was like this. Yeah, see, we could just drive up the road to Annandale. It would be like that. Fairfax would be like that. McLean would be like that. That's not true at all. Um, but yeah, it's a little different inside the Beltway. And it was just soon after that. It's like once I realized, like, no, not this. This wasn't everybody's childhood.
So growing up, and this is the last question I'm getting, and time is already gone. It's almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
But as growing up, as a okay, the young you and growing up as an adult, as our world move forward, um, what is that like for you now today? And what would you tell those if you had to think from your and this is a lot to think from your lens of diversity to what's moving forward today. And I'm going to say, as far as white counterparts, how do you explain that? Or would you ever have a conversation where you can move forward and say, yes, as a white man, there is some systemic things going on. It's not just in their heads, it does happen. So how would you carry that out in a conversation, or if you would even have one or dare to be even go, it's always a conversation that's changed, it's never talked about.
I mean, my wife Elizabeth, who's also a teacher. Well, saying she's taught juvenile justice. She's teaching actually at Booker T. Washington in downtown Newport News now. But
Ooh.
we share the same. I mean, I think she'd agree with me. It's like the advice would be keep your eyes open, believe what you believe. Don't listen to static from the outside. Don't let somebody tell you how they think things are. Because I mean, what is it Maya Angelou says? If a fool shows himself, if someone shows themselves to be a fool, believe it the first time.
Yes,
or something
yes.
like that. Um, very true. Be an independent thinker. Don't be don't be a member of the sheep. You know,
I love it. I love it.
be one.
What is a take? That's a great takeaway. So, where can folks meet you, and where can they get your book from?
Well, you mentioned Paperbacks Inc. Boys of Ewald Park is there. I have another book there, but that may be for another conversation for another day. And but both will be there. Both books will be there on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So Paperbacks Inc. Sells a book. Yeah, I mean, I guess everywhere books are sold, or
Mm-hmm.
online, or yeah, or at our book fair on Saturday.
Yes, he's
My
gonna be out
be
there.
my top
Yeah,
recommendation because that's
yeah,
that's where we're both going to be Saturday. So
yeah. I'm so happy that you chose to be on it, and I hope I see more of you. Would you happen to have the other copy of your book that you will have at the
oddly
event?
enough, I sure did.
So tell us about that tragedy to triumph. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, let me show you back. Pete Radigan, he was a college friend of mine. We were fraternity brothers, roommates one year. Pete was in need of a heart transplant in the mid 1990s, and he received a heart. There's a whole story behind that. He was fortunate, but the whole story of him having to wait for it, him being in the hospital, playing the waiting game, receiving the heart, um, is mentioned, but also Janet Mock, who's next to him, listening to his heart.
Mm,
However, Pete's heart, he's a recipient from a young man named Tom Mock, who was on the cover here. Tom
hmm.
Tom died in a motorcycle accident at the age of 16. It was his heart that saved Pete. So when I say Janet's listening to Pete's heart, she's really listening to her son's heart.
Wow.
So this book, it's a story about organ transplant. It could go. I mean, any transplant. It's really an organ transplant story, but this is told from both sides because somebody's a donor and somebody's a recipient. I don't know that there are very many books that tell both sides of it. So if
Hmm.
anybody who's interested in organ donation or they're thinking about checking that box on their driver's license, read this. This will fill in a lot of blanks, and it's a wonderful, inspiring story. And I mean, Pete lived with the heart for 27 and a half years.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we
wow.
lost him last November. Um, but I mean, I almost feel like part of my mission now is to continue his story because
And do it because when you mentioned that, so our leader, he just passed. He has a book about kidney disease. Why not me? He just passed not too long ago, recently, and we did at our health and awareness. We bringing awareness to kidney disease, and he did not die of kidney failure. He had pancreatic cancer.
uh,
That's what he died from. But so he at our events that we would do, we would have the donor and the one who gave and the one who received. They both together, and then we had the little hearts where they can just pin the hearts. So we did those type of ceremonies. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And we talk about donate life for a while. I'm gonna tell you, Jim. For a while, I would not put it on there, and Wallace kind of helped me of being a donor. He kind of helped me say yes to that because number one, I'm not gonna be here anyway. And the thing is, I would think as a Black woman that they would not try to save me. But he said they do everything they can at, you know, before you donate. So
yeah.
that made me, so I finally, like within like maybe 3 to 5 years, I finally put it on my driver's license as well as the military ID that I will donate.
And Donate Life USA sponsored our book. Um,
Wonderful.
and some of the state organizations did it. It was, I mean, it came out in 2021. It came out as an Amazon #1 new release. I mean,
Awesome. We'll be getting that as well. We'll be getting that as well. It is a pleasure to be here. I hate to cut you off. I told you this is really
I
fun.
know you
I
know
told you this.
I'm coming back now, right?
Well, now I know.
Yeah.
And I'll get the other book. So we would love to see you back again if you want to do those dates that's available. We would love to see you come back again. And this is really good. I'm passionate about your books. I don't know you, but just the what you have, and also the other about the story with the that we have that we're talking about, the Boys of Ewald Park. I definitely want to read through that and thumb through that, as well as your other book. Is that on Kindle as well? Because the
Yes, yes,
okay, so your second book that you just showed us, so I will get that from
yeah.
Kindle.
This is still doing pretty well on Kindle. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
so I'll look for that so I can get that on Kindle because I have the book on my Kindle. This has been an amazing moment. I cannot wait to meet you in person on this Saturday, as well as to read and know about you. I'm glad you're doing putting both books out there so we can know both books. And so that's one of the things I try to advise. And we praying for both of us to have a successful Saturday. If you guys are out there, do come and see him. And it's at Buffet City. You guys look that up. Come by. The capacity, we're full. We got all tickets sold out in capacity, but you do come in and then say hello and sign. That is welcome. So we thank you for here. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
See you next time.
Thank you so much. And you know how to get out of here. And I'm going to talk to the folks a little bit. Press that X. And thank you so much for coming and hanging on during the tech problem. And use this one for next time as well.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. And hello to your lovely wife and family.
All right.
Thank you guys for being here again. Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring page turners your way. I am short. Leave me alone, guys. I am short. And that was our guest, Jim McGrath. We thank you for being here today. And hopefully I said his name right, guys, like Math, Graph, McGrath. And he will be here in Newport News this Saturday. Come by, guys. New York Times bestseller Omar Tyler will be there, as well as other authors. We have 17 authors there. Book clubs, thank you for being there. Thank you for coming in. And you guys have an amazing night. Kept you long enough. He said he'll be back. So we look forward to seeing him back again. Have an amazing night, guys. Good night.